But if somebody wanted to do something like that, then they could. But otherwise, if they want to do kind of a sort of a more general story like that, then I have to wait till I get the rights back before I do anything. I don't know if anybody has been approaching Lionsgate about doing other stuff with it because I'm not sure they know I exist. I mean, those guys did not even send me a copy of the DVD. I know, right? It's just not at all reasonable, but that's how it worked out. So we'll have to see. I'd like something like that to happen. I would love to see like an anime series that just did the story as an anime series. That would be really cool, but I don't know if it'll ever work out or not. I guess we just have to see. But over here in the right here.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Why is it in the cover art Harry's always wearing a hat, but in the books he never is?
Why in the cover art is Harry always wearing a hat? Because the art department decided that it should be so. I mean, like I said, man, I'm just the writer, but I think they figured that the fedora plus the wizard staff was kind of the perfect visual representation of Private Eye Wizard, which is what the books are about. Although my favorite description of them that I've heard has been dirty Harry Potter.
Is that why he's got a 44 Magnum?
Yeah, he upgraded to the 44 Magnum after I heard dirty Harry Potter. I just got to give him the "Do you feel lucky" punk speech. He'll probably get punched in the nose before he gets to the end of it because I can't let him look too cool. That just wouldn't be Harry. Right here, please. Why is he holding a sword on the cover of the books? For the same reason he's wearing a hat. Dude, I just write the story, man. The only time the books have the covers have been close to what's been in the book is like when the editor would call and say, "Hey, we need to do the cover for Cursor's Fury, and we need something." And we were kind of hoping to do something with a Water Fury, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, well have Tavi in Legionnaire armor holding a broken burn standard at the bank of a river with two big lions made out of water coming up out of the river towards him." And they were like, "Oh, that's fantastic! That's great! Thank you, Jim." And the editor hung up, and I was literally sitting at the word processor working on chapter 3, and I said to myself, "How in the world am I going to get this character standing next to a river?" I mean, that's the only way it'll work. Yeah, that's the only way so far that I know of that you actually get a cover that matches the book. But right here, please.
Yeah, I've got about 100 questions. About 90% of them would involve turncoat spoilers, and I wish to be able to leave you alive. However, we have some involvement in the Dresden verse, if I can use that term without getting hit, with the Norse gods. And I was thinking about McAnally, and I was thinking about gods and god types, and I thought about the Greek gods. Could McAnally possibly be a son of Dionysus?
What, you think I'm going to just tell you stuff like that, man? I got a mortgage to pay. McAnally's not a Greek god nor a scion of the gods, but I'll tell you that much. But we probably won't get to see much about McAnally until the big trilogy at the end. So, but yeah, I mean the Norse gods and so on are involved, and they'll get to do some more stuff, and I'm planning on having a lot of fun with that. But we haven't quite got there yet. In the black shirt here.
So I know the conclusion to Codex Alera is coming up soon. Are you planning another traditional fantasy series after that, maybe?
The conclusion to Codex Alera is coming up, so am I planning a traditional fantasy series to go with that, was the question, if you didn't hear it. The next project I do is either going to be a fantasy project that I'm going to write with my friend Cam Banks. Cam is also a writer. He's written a book called The Cell Sword that was part of the Dragonlance universe that came out here pretty recently, which was way cooler than it had any right to be. All things considered, especially for his first novel. I hate people who write really well in their first novel. They disgust me. Somebody like him, like John Scalzi, like Pat Rothfuss. I hate those guys. But I might be doing something with Cam, in which case we'd probably do 1 or 2 books together. If I'm not sure if that'll work out next, or if I'll be doing my my actual science fiction book next. which is the next thing I want to take a stab at. Eventually, I'm going to be writing my epic fantasy epic, and it will be epic. But I'm not good enough to write it yet. I'm still building up to be able to handle a story that big. But I do want to try a big old doorstop frickin' fantasy series at some point, and that's what I'm going to do eventually. I mean, it's going to be elves, dwarves, and hobbits, but no, I don't think anybody will actually realize that they're elves, dwarves, and hobbits. Except for you guys, because you talk to me. I mean, come on, the Furies are, pretty much Pokemon, so. But anyway, so that's kind of what I'm looking at in the future. But I've got enough ideas for stories that I figured out that what I have so far, at the rate I'm writing so far, I'd have to live to be like 130 to write them all. So I've been working out. But I don't know, 130. Right here, please.
In the midst of writing and everything, do you ever find it hard to separate, the book from your actual reality? And at night, how do you turn it off so that you can actually get some shut-eye, if you ever do?
Okay. In the midst of writing, do I ever have trouble separating book from actual reality? And how do I turn it off at night so that I can get some shut-eye? And I'll answer the second one first, and that is, I don't sleep at night. Basically, I don't start working until about 10 o'clock when everybody else starts turning in and going to bed. If I try and write during the day, it's Jim, you need to eat something this, and Dad, I love you that, and I can't be expected to create. That kind of circumstance. So usually I'm sitting down and it's just me and the dog hanging out, and it's nice and quiet, and I get most of the writing done between 10 p.m. and about 6 a.m. And then after that, it's easy to sleep because my brain's turned to mush by then. What was the first part of the question? Oh, do I ever have any trouble separating book from reality? When I do, my wife helps me. It works out there. Actually, she keeps me grounded in many ways, and it's probably good for me. Right here, please.
I had a couple questions, but first off, you mentioned your wife. I've read her novels, and I noticed that you had helped her quite a bit with those issues going along. I was wondering if you two were planning on doing a collaboration at any point in time.
Are my wife Shannon and I planning on doing a collaboration at any point in time? And the answer to that is no, we decided we want to stay married. We wrote a play together in high school and nearly gouged out one another's eyes with pencils. So, I don't think that's coming up in the future. But we do bounce ideas off each other and stuff when we're in a sticky spot trying to figure out how to get through it. We'll talk to each other about it and then promptly ignore each other's advice. But it helps. So.
My next question about the Codex series. I heard a little bit about how that particular series came about, and I was wondering if you had gotten feedback from the person that had given you those two outward ideas to put into one novel and to see if you read them and what you thought of them. Right.
Okay, I'm going to have to tell you all the story. The question was have I gotten in touch with the guy that kind of inspired the Codex series for me? That was a story that I wrote the first part of that when I started putting that series together. I literally wrote that on a bet. I was in a writing group online. There was a big discussion going on at the time, and a bunch of us writing loudmouths were yelling at one another what we thought. None of us were published, so it wasn't like we had a great idea of what was going on. But one side of the argument was that the idea behind a story is what's sacred. That if you have a good enough idea, that the story will turn out to be good, no matter how lame a writer you are. And they said, look at Jurassic Park. Okay, that was their example, not mine, all right? I was on the other side where I said it doesn't matter how many times you've told the story. If you're a good storyteller, you can put your own creative spin on it. You can put your own presentation on it that will make it a good story. I mean, how many times have we seen Romeo and Juliet done in many different ways? And so this argument went back and forth. It was one of those arguments that you have online where you just hit the caps lock key right after you hit the reply button and then start fighting. And that went back and forth for a while, and finally the preeminent loudmouth on the other side, I was the preeminent loudmouth on my side, said, all right, I tell you what, why don't you put your money where your mouth is? You let me give you a bad idea, and let's see you write a good story out of it. And I said, no. I want you to give me 2 bad ideas, and I'll use them both. Because, like I said, inspired stupidity. The guy says, okay, first bad